Hello all and welcome to this session. In this session, we will understand the RFQ process in SAP S/4HANA, how it works on SAP Fiori. So even if you are already a consultant who knows how the RFQ process works on SAP S/4HANA with the old transactions like ME41, you should watch this video so that you understand how this same thing would be done in SAP Fiori. So as you know, in SAP ECC or even in SAP S/4HANA up to 1809 or 1909, it was possible to use the old transaction to create a RFQ, that is transaction ME41. But now if you try transaction ME41 in SAP S/4HANA 2020 or 2021, you may not be able to do so because it has been stopped. And if you want to create a RFQ and you want to execute the entire end-to-end process, you need to do it via Fiori. So in this session, we will understand how to do that. So before I jump onto the Fiori part, for those of you who are new to this particular topic, so this is one of the most important topic within SAP MM module. Okay, so what exactly is RFQ? RFQ is the request for quote or request for quotation. So what happens is whenever the companies they want to buy some material or service, if they want to buy the repetitive material which is ordered multiple times or the service which they keep on ordering, then they already know who is the supplier who provides them the base rate. They might be already having the contracts with the supplier. But in case if there is a new product or the new service which company may be buying for the first time, or they are looking for changing the vendor of those products or services, in that case they can ask different suppliers to provide them the quote based on which they will decide that in future this particular product or this particular service should be procured from which supplier. Okay, so what happens is within the RFQ process, there are some important steps. So first of all, we normally create a RFQ for the required products or services. So we specifically tell the system that we are creating this particular quotation or this particular request for which material and which service. After that, we add the different suppliers or bidders. Bidders and suppliers is one and the same thing. Only thing is based on the scenario, it gets changed. So let's take example that you want to buy some material, but you are not sure which supplier will provide you base price or whether they will be able to provide you the material on the required time or not. So what we will do is we will send the RFQ to the suppliers that we know that these are the suppliers who can provide us this material, and we ask them to provide their quotations against our RFQ. Now, if you have worked on SAP ECC, in ECC, it was only possible to enter a single supplier in RFQ. So if you are creating the RFQ and you want to send it to multiple vendors, there were some complications in that. But in SAP S/4HANA, just one RFQ is enough to send it to multiple suppliers. So within one RFQ itself, I can send that RFQ to multiple suppliers. Now, once you send the RFQs to the supplier, supplier will send you the quotations. So you are going to receive the quotations from supplier. Once you receive the quotation from all the suppliers, you are going to compare those quotations. And finally, based on the terms and conditions, based on the price, the date on which the supplier is going to deliver that particular product or service, based on that, you will decide whom you want to award the contract or the order. So order is one time. So if you are ordering this material only for once, you will create a purchase order. But if it is something long term, you keep on ordering for next 1 year. In that case, you can also create a contract with the supplier with agreed price and the deadlines. So one important thing before I go into the system, when you go into the system, when you try to create a RFQ, system will provide you three different options. Okay, so there are three different type of RFQs that can be created in SAP S/4HANA using Fiori. Number one is external price request. Number two is external sourcing request. And number three is internal sourcing request. So if we are creating a RFQ and we don't have any integration or we don't have any other system through which we are going to proceed with this RFQ, then we are always going to use internal sourcing request. But in this case, if you see external price request, what exactly is the use of this is, so RFQs for which pricing is extracted from the external system, right? So for example, if you have implemented SAP Ariba and the prices of the RFQs are available in Ariba system and you want to bring it into SAP S4, in that case, we will be using external price request. Same way, this is also external sourcing request is through some third party system, through some external system, we are trying to bring some data. Okay, so we'll keep it simple. In our scenario, we will use the internal sourcing request because we are going to enter the quotations, what we got from the supplier manually in the SAP system. Okay, so that was the introduction. Now let's move on to the important part. Let's see how this thing will be done in SAP S/4HANA to perform this particular transaction. Now, before you go to SAP Fiori and try to create a RFQ, you need to ensure that you have the right set of roles assigned to your user ID. So I'll tell you which are the important roles which are related to the RFQ process. I will make sure that this particular thing I will write as in our description of the video. So I already assigned myself the proper roles, and that is the reason I'm able to see the RFQ related applications available on my Fiori Launchpad. So what I've done is I just searched for RFQ, okay, and click on this button so that it shows me all the applications which are related to managing the RFQs. So I'll just click on this manage RFQs here. Okay, so once you open this application, it will just behave like a report where you can search for the RFQs based on the different parameters. So if I want to see all the RFQs which are created for a particular company code, for example, I want to see all the RFQs created for company code RECH. And if I click on go, it will show me all the RFQs which are created for this company code. Okay, in my case, I want to create a new RFQ, and that is the reason I can click on this create button. Okay, so as I told you, there are three types of RFQs: external price request, external sourcing request, and this is internal sourcing request. So I'm just clicking on internal sourcing request. Right, so this is how the RFQ screen looks like. Now here you need to specify some description. So it should be just the description which is easier for you to remember. It should be something logical. In my case, I'm just writing this as test, but when the actual RFQ is created, maybe the material that you are looking for or the service you are looking for, so there should be something logical because it is just a text field. Okay, apply by, I will just select any of the date. Let's say it is 25th of May. Quotation deadline, by when you want your suppliers to provide the quotations, that has to be provided. Your purchasing group, whatever has been created in your company or not in the company, it is at the client level, but whatever you have created. Your purchasing organization, in my case, it is RC01. Okay, company code will get defaulted automatically based on the purchasing org assignment. I'll just come down. Target value, I'll just enter some value here. Let's say it is 10,000. Currency, in my case, it is INR. So I'll just enter INR. If I come down, this is where I need to tell the system I am creating this RFQ for which material or which services, right? So if I want to add the materials and services, I need to click on this create. Okay, I need to provide the material code. So I'll just click on this and maybe I will use this material number, this one. Okay, requested quantity, let's say I'm requesting 10 quantity, and delivery date which I'm expecting is, let's say, 15th of June. So I selected the material as the 16. I have entered the plant as RC01 and the requested quantity is 10 units here. The delivery date, the date on which I am expecting the delivery from the supplier, I have maintained as 15th of June 2022. So now I will come down and this is where you need to add the bidders. So if you already know who are the suppliers from whom you are requesting these quotations, you need to add those suppliers here. Okay, so let me see how many suppliers are available in my company. So there are, in my purchase organization, there are 2 suppliers, and let's assume I want to take the quotation from both the suppliers. So I'll select them one by one. So this is my first supplier. I'll just press enter, and then again I'll click on create to add the next supplier. Okay, which is this one. So I'm telling the system that I am looking for this particular material, and these are my other criteria. So I'm looking for the quotation from the suppliers by 31st of May. They can apply by 25th of May. These are my other details. And then once I selected my both the vendors, or if there are n number of vendors, I can select it here. Once I'm done with this, I can just click on save. So this will generate the RFQ number. Okay, and then based on my output management, I can send this RFQs to different suppliers based on which they will be sending me the quotations. It seems there is an error here. Let me just try to close and see whether the number is getting generated. Yeah, I think the number is generated. It was some other follow-up error, but it is fine. You can see the RFQ has been created and it is in the in preparation status. Now what we need to do is, if it is in preparation, I need to click on the publish button. In order for this RFQ to go to the suppliers, I need to click on this publish button. Now if I click on publish, it may go for approval based on whether the approval pattern requires that this much amount has to be go through the different level of approvals. If that is the case, then only it will go for approval. If there is no approval required, even then we need to make sure that our flexible workflow is set up in this way that the minimum amount or the amount which you don't want to go through the approval process doesn't require any approval, that is already configured in the system. Right, I'll show you. So first let me try to click on publish. Okay, it is showing in approval. Let me try to refresh it and see whether it is going for published or not. Okay, you can see it has been published. Why? Although it was showing in approval, but the approval pattern is configured in the system in such a way that there is no approval required for the amount less than a specific limit. So for this particular RFQ, there was no approval required. Just remember, many times we face an issue here that it remains in approval, it doesn't get go to the published status. The reason is, if your approval process, flexible approval process is not configured properly, you will face this issue through configuration of flexible workflow. Okay, there is a separate app for that. I will just come to that. But before that, I hope you understood how the RFQ is created and how it is published. Now, before we go to the next process, before we understand how to enter the supplier quotations in the system, let me just go back and show you the flexible workflow settings that you need to make in order for the approval. So let me just again search for RFQ. Okay, you can see manage workflows for RFQs. So this is a place where you need to set up if you want to have any workflow settings. You want to tell the system that whether the RFQ will automatically get approved, or based on the limit, whether you want multi-level of approvals for RFQ, that can be controlled through manage workflows. So for this, you can watch my video in which I explained the PO workflow process. It is exactly same as in case of RFQ, only the application is different. The Fiori application is different for workflows for RFQs and workflows for purchase orders. Okay, let's continue with our RFQ process now. So I will just do one thing. I will say for my company code RECH, I want to see all the RFQs which are created, and I'll take the latest one which we created just now. So this is the latest one. Let me just open it. Okay, now once it is published, your vendors will get the RFQ and they will send their quotations against this RFQ. Now assume that I received the quotation from first supplier. I received the quotation from first supplier. What I'll do is I'll click on this, I will tick this, I'll select this first line and I'll click on create quotation. So whatever are the quotation terms and conditions, the amount, the submission date, the date on which vendor has promised to deliver the material, everything I will write in this particular screen, supplier quotation screen. So what are the important fields here? For example, if they have provided the payment terms, okay, if you just come down, this is where the net order price, so how much price has been written in the quotation, in the supplier quotation. Let's say for example 800 is price per unit. I'm just taking some example. So they said 800 would be the price for a particular single unit of material, right? So like this, whatever information you got from vendor, you will enter all this in the quotation, and then you will click on save. So now system knows that out of 2 suppliers to whom you have sent the RFQ, one supplier has already sent his quotation, and that is in the system. Okay, again I'll come back to RFQ, and this time I will say the second supplier has also submitted his quotation. So I'll select the second supplier and I'll click on create quotation. Again, submission date, today's date itself. Okay, you can enter the date as per the date on which you are receiving the quotation from your supplier, and then the price. Let's say this particular supplier has charged more. Okay, they have charged 90 for this particular material, and save. So now we have the quotation available from both the suppliers. What we need to do next is we need to compare these quotes. Okay, so in this example we are just comparing the price 80 and 90, but there are some other factors also, like payment term, when the supplier is going to deliver. So all those things normally are provided in the quotation, and you need to write those details in the quotation itself. Okay, so this is how the supplier quotation has been completed. And if I come back now, okay, so we got the quotation from both the suppliers, and now what we will do is we will go and compare the quotations we received from suppliers. So there is a separate application, Fiori application, for compare the quotations. If you're not able to see here, you need to maybe search for quotation. You can see compare supplier quotation. So I'll directly open this. It is asking against which RFQ. So let me click on go. If you know the RFQ number, you can directly enter it. If you don't know, maybe you just need to enter some criteria. So this is the one which we created. And based on this RFQ, you can see there are 2 bids that we got from 2 different suppliers. Okay, and you can see these are the 2 different prices. These are the 2 suppliers with their quotations. So this is quotation number 1, this is quotation number 2. This supplier is charging how much? I think I entered the wrong amount. It is showing only 900 here, and it is showing 8,000. So I think this, instead of 900, I entered 90, and that is the reason it is total value is 900. Okay, anyways, so based on this comparison, it seems that this vendor is providing the material at much lesser price compared to this particular vendor, and that is the reason company may decide to go ahead with this particular vendor to get this material. Right, so if I want to give this contract to this particular supplier, I have to select this and I have to click on award this contract to this particular supplier. Now why it is not appearing is because I think I have not submitted the contract yet. I have not submitted the quotations yet. Let's see. So let me just go to the quotations once again. This is a quotation. Okay, and if I go to the quotations here, let me go to the quotations directly. Instead of going through RFQ, let me go to the quotations from comparison itself. So compare supplier quotations. Just copy the RFQ number so that you don't need to find it every time. So this is my RFQ number, and then if I just open this quotation, okay, manage supplier quotation app. Okay, here you can see I entered 90 instead of 900, and that is the reason it created confusion, but no problem. I'll just click on submit. The quotation has been submitted. Same way, if you want to submit this quotation also, just select this, manage supplier quotations, and this also you can just click on submit. Okay, submitted, which means now if I want to go ahead and award a contract to this particular supplier, I will select this, and you can see the award button has been opened now. Okay, if I just click on this award, you can see quotation is in approval. So again, if there is a approval process for the quotation, it will get stuck here and it will go for the approval. So I hope you understood, because now going forward, it is all about creation of contract and creation of purchase order based on this quotation. So you understood what is a RFQ process, what exactly is RFQ in SAP system. Previously, RFQ was created using the traditional GUI, which was transaction ME41. But now, since SAP has removed that transaction, it has become mandatory that if you want to create a RFQ, you have to create it via Fiori. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. For such videos, keep on watching our channel. If you haven't subscribed till now, please subscribe so that you can always get this kind of content on our channel. Thank you. Bye.